Hello everyone, I am Dhananjay Gupta. Welcome you all on behalf of Hindu Center of Atlanta. We are joined together today for our weekly spiritual learning program. Today we have Acharya Brahmadev ji joining from Mauritius. Acharya ji is delivering a lecture Upanishad. Currently we are working on Eeshopanishad. Acharya Brahmadev ji has an inclusive educational background in science, banking, from University of Mauritius, Management, AB UK, and Darsanacharya, Vedic Philosophy, Darshan Yog Mahavidyalaya, Gujarat, and a diverse career in financial services, industry, and at Arisava, Mauritius. He has been a key resource person for Arisava, Mauritius on the universal Vedic values, yoga and meditation, and on interfaith and intercultural dialogue at various national and international forums. The Mauritius Council of Religions, Arya Pratinidhi Sabha America, and Greater Atlanta Vedic Temple and Hindu Center of Atlanta Yoga and Meditation Center is coming. He is author of numerous insightful articles on Vedic philosophy and contemporary issues in English and French. Over to Acharya.
Om. Namaste, everybody. Thank you for joining today. Let's start with the mantra part. Sit down straight, close the eyes gently. Keep the body totally relaxed from head to toe. Deep inhale and exhale, focusing on the breath going in and out of the nostrils. 3 times Om Jap and Gayatri mantra part. While doing the jap and the mantra part, focus on your own pronunciation, on your own chanting, the pronunciation, the sounds of your pronunciation, and also the vibrations of the sound waves coming back to you. And then feel the inner peace, the silence building up at the mental and emotional level. Om Bhurabhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Slowly, gently open the eyes. Keep the focus. Eeshopanishad. The name itself, Ishwar. And this is the Upanishad which gives us the knowledge about Ishwar, the knowledge about Jivatma, the soul, and the way to establish or to be in communication with Ishvara God. The first mantra is famous: Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyan jagat tena tyaktena vunjita magridha kasya siddhanam, describing the omnipresence of Ishvara present everywhere and at all times, and telling us to be content with what we have and not to covet or to greed or lust for what doesn't belong to us. Second mantra ends with na karma lipyate nare. It's the concept of doing our duties and leaving it to karma to give us the outcome in due course, and leave it to the administrative karma, Ishvara, to give us the outcome. So that's the concept of selfless service, and telling us also not to be attached to the outcome of the karma. Just do our duties, shoulder our responsibilities, affirm ourselves there. So these are also the practical aspects of life. One knowing Ishvara God as present everywhere at all times, will always be respecting our duties, will always be respectful to the laws of nature, the laws of the universe, and the spiritual laws of human life, really leading the life as human being. Then we find that words like Andhantama coming often in the Upanishad. Andhantama pravishanti eke chatmahano jana. It says, those who stick only to worldly knowledge. This is not true knowledge, because we are leaving half of what we need in life aside. Because only worldly knowledge is good. We are living, sustaining life on the material aspect, but then leaving the second part, the spiritual part of life, there we lose ethics, we lose the norms of humanity. And this is where we see in the world that people, they prosper materially, but then they go down the lane as far as it concerns the human approach to living. So that's why it says Andhantama Pravishanti. If we go on this line, it's against the first two mantras where it says Magridha Kasya Svidhanam, do not covet what doesn't belong to us. That is inviting us to be moderate in life. And the second one, Na Karma Lipyate Nare, to engage in selfless service, just to be committed to our duties and responsibilities. And responsibilities also include that we be responsible human beings towards ourselves, towards our friends and relatives, and towards the world at large. So that invites for moderation in life, moderation as to the utilization of resources, and become effective and efficient in the use of that knowledge in day-to-day life. It goes on the same lines with the Gita. The focus is first acquired jnana, knowledge, use that knowledge, apply it while performing our duties and responsibilities, that is karma. Then using that knowledge dedicated to our karma, this is the real path to grow on upasana. That is, this is devotion. And it comes nearly automatically, because with true knowledge, with true dedication to our karma, it's easy to be devoted, that is, to be compliant to the guidance of Ishvara God in terms of the knowledge of the Vedas, unfolded to us as the knowledge of the Vedas, which is referred to as Shruti, then unfolded to us in terms of the Upanishad, the Shastras, etc., known as Smriti, And even then, if we look at righteous behavior, ethical behavior, which is satya, acharan, sadachara, or else just listen to the inner voice, the divine guidance. And this goes in line with the teachings of Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, when the concept is there, Ishvara omnipresent everywhere, then the mantra says, Sapariyaga chukramakayam asnaviram shuddham papavidham kaver manishi paribhu sayam bhuriyarthat tatyathorthan vyadadhacha shutibhya samabhya. This mantra says Sapariyagat, Sarvatra Vidyaman, present everywhere and at all times. And you see things which are present everywhere and at all times in this universe, they don't have a form, they don't have a shape. Like air, like water vapor. And if we confine them to that, to suppose we fill air in a balloon, or we keep a room filled with water vapor, steam, then they have a form, but that ceased to be omnipresent. And it goes in the same line, Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, Yatha Brahmande Tatha Pinde. Whatever is seen at the micro level is also present at the macro level, and whatever is seen at the macro level is seen at the micro level. And remember, there's something in the Vedic Hindu Dharma which says Rit. Rit are the eternal laws applicable across the whole of the universe, which is more affirmative than Satya. Satya is more what applies into day-to-day life, but Rit are the eternal laws. So if we take this mantra saying, Avranam asnaviram, akayam, that is, has no body. Avranam is not bound in nervous system, in blood circulatory systems. Asnaviram, and it says it's not bound within physical bodies also. And then Shuddham Apapa Vidham, it's 100% pure, flawless, immaculate, and no slightest tinge or trace or fine line of pap. It says Apapa Vidham. It's one way of saying the same thing. As we say Sagun and Nirgun, it's two different ways of describing the same situation. Like you have a glass half full of water. If you say it's half full, it's truth. If it's half empty, it's truth, because describing one and the same feature. So if you take this mantra and go it with Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya, which is often said that Sri Krishna says he will reincarnate. Now to put that knowledge in the proper context, which rishis have done, unfolding that knowledge, says whenever there's an increase in inhuman ways of life, unethical ways of living, or there's an increase of ills and evils and sin, what happens is that the divine guidance within us, the inner voice, prompts us to come forward to resist or to fight those ills and evils. And that's why throughout history, whenever there has been a surge in ills and evils, people doing sin, there has always been someone or a few people coming forward to reestablish things. Not to diverge from the subject, I will just give one example. The current situation in India, 70 years it was going haphazardly. Dharma was being pushed to the walls. There was a decline in Dharma, and there was a decline, people trying to submerge or suppress Vedic Hindu way of life. So there was a conjuncture where people of the same thinking came together and advocated for, no, we have to come back to the basics or the foundations of our dharma. So that this is one way of interpreting that true knowledge which Sri Krishna has given. And Vedas also, Ved mantras, mantras from the Upanishads, etc., are also referred at times in the sense that it's God giving the knowledge, or to make it more easy to understand. जैसे हम कहते हैं हिंदी में विद्वान लोग समझा रहे हैं, the learned are explaining this. So there's no discrepancy, no divergence when we try to relate this mantra, which says Sapariyaga Chukramakaya Masnaviram Shuddham Apapa Vidham. God is never born, never takes a form of life, is unbound by any limitations as physical limitations, or like we say, nervous system, avranam, that is not bound by these. And the concept there, yada yada hi dharmasya, because God is always inspiring each and every person to be good in life. But when there is a surge, then people will come forward to resist and to reestablish righteous living, which is dharma. Then if we go down, it says, Vidyancha Vidyancha yastadvedo bhayam saha avidyam mrityum tirtva vidyam mritamashnuti. So Vidyancha Vidyancha, when knowledge is applied in day-to-day life, that would lead us to amrita mashnute, that will lead us to mukti moksha, because true knowledge will lead us to true karma, and true karma will lead us to true upasana. So true knowledge, shuddha jnana, will lead us to shuddha karma, rightful actions, and then shuddha upasana, the real devotion, dedication, and combination of these three eventually will lead at the end of our life cycle into mukti moksha. Then avidya mrityum tirtva, till we are limited with the worldly knowledge. This is avidya, or avidya is also false knowledge. Will always be in the cycle of birth and death. And it goes with the other mantra from the Brihadanyak Upanishad, Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. And we recently celebrated Deepavali 1 month back. So that relates also to Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya being in line with, it's not only the darkness, the physical darkness, but the darkness of ignorance, the darkness of false knowledge. Then again the mantra comes, sorry, with the slight variance, it says, Andhan tama praveshanti ye sambhuti upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo ye sambhutyang rata. It's again talking about andhan tama. So what happens when we stick only to worldly knowledge or to material things? It's avidya. Or if we stick only to spirituality, that is also avidya. We need to use both of them. As we have 2 feet, and if we try to walk only on 1 foot, we won't stand for long. Trying to walk on 1 foot, we can't stand for long. So life is like this. And see how beautifully God has created the universe. Our body itself teaches us so many things. Like we have 2 legs, the 2 footing that we need to adopt in life is both worldly and spiritual life, both at this one and the same time. And then it says, sambhutincha yastadvedo bhayam vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutyam mritamashnute. So those who stick only, as we say, praying to material things, this is avidya. This is dedicated to only material things in this universe, or praying to material things, as we say, to Prakriti, Jaravastu, these are not going to progress in life to spirituality and to mukti. And that is what it says, Vinashenam Mrityum Tirtva. So we get entangled in the cycle of birth and death. Asambhutim, those who know the real concept of God, those who know the real concept of Jeev and the purpose of human life as compared to other forms of life, this is the only life form which enables us to use our intellect, as we say in wisdom, dhi, and progress unto mukti, moksha. So let's rise above vinashena mrityum tirtva and go into amrita mashnute. And this Upanishad tells us also of one feature in life. What happens is that it says, Poshanne karshe yama surya prajapatya vyuha rashmin samuha tejo yatte rupam kalyana tamam tate pashyami yo savasau purushaha sohamasmi. This is the only mantra that is not in the Yajurved 40th chapter. And this is what makes it the Eeshopanishad with 18 mantras and the Yajurved with 17 mantras. And the Gita has 18 chapters, each chapter taking one subject matter, one mantra. So it says this one, Pushan is progressive, Unnati karne wale. Then the rishis were there, the sages were there to unfold that knowledge to us. So we have just to follow the path of righteousness, yama. And if we look, this word yama also, it comes in yoga philosophy as self-discipline. Then Surya, if we look at the sun, it follows its path whether there are clouds or not. It always sticks to its own path, rising from the east, going to the west. So it says, whatever be the clouds in our life, let's stick to our principles. There's always a silver lining at the end of the clouds, at the borders of the clouds, showing that the sun is there. So in life, it's also like that. Then Prajapatya. Ishwara is always within us, guiding us. And we are the Praja, that is, we are the people in the kingdom of God. So God as the ruler is always there, prompting us to be on the righteous path. And by doing so, we'll never feel ourselves distant from Ishwar God. We'll always feel ourselves within God and God within us. As I gave the example formerly, we'll be like the cheese balls in the syrup. Rasgulla. The cheese balls are in the syrup and the syrup is also within the cheese balls. That's why we say the concept of Ishvara Sarva Vyapak will be always sensing that presence in the normal day-to-day life without any special efforts. And then Tejaha. So like the sun giving the light and the heat to everybody equally. It depends on how we take them. Like somebody will, most of us will take the sunlight to live our day-to-day life, but some will also convert the solar light and heat to energy electricity. So it depends on how we want to use that. If we want to progress, we make more efficient and effective use of that. And in life also, it's like that. If we use the light of knowledge for day-to-day life, whilst we can use that to grow, as we say, Vayam Syama Patayora Inam, go both materially and spiritually at the same time. So it depends on how we want to use that and progress. But however way, if we stick to the basic principles, will be Kalyanam, Sabse Kalyankari. As God is there for everybody, will also be there for universal welfare. So that's one way of looking of how we can inspire ourselves from the qualities of Ishvara God and the creation itself. Like here, the example is from the sun. Taking the example for the creation and live for the common good. Then the next mantra says, Vayura Nilam Amritam Mathedam Bhasmantam Shariram Om Krato Smara Klibe Smara Kritam Smara. This describes when we've reached the end of our lifetime. The body is now just the body, the soul is not there. So the fastest process to return it to the five gross elements of nature. Agni, Jal, Prithvi, Ayu, Vayu or Akash. Fire, air, space, water, earth. So to return that, the best and fastest process is fire using the cremation process. And that absolves us from getting the body into the ground, which rots there, and rotting there, it can contaminate water, underground water tables, or else continue to propagate disease. If you see, when there was bubonic plague in the 19th century, there were so many illnesses. People were compelled, whatever be their faith, they were told incineration is the best process to stop the propagation of disease. And we saw it lastly in the COVID-19 case. So many countries resorted to incineration. Incineration is the fastest process, taking less space in this world. And then it says, Om Krato Smara Klibe Smara Kritam Smara. That is also a very vivid example. People who live their life righteously, and when they know that it's time to depart the world, they start detaching themselves from bonds, from relationships. They start taking one step backward from material things, etc. They leave this life, and we can see that there's a smile on their face. But those who've been living in avidya, that is, just stick to material things, stick to relationships, they feel that this time of departing is a time of sorrow, and they cry. Especially those who've been on the wrong side doing wrong things. This is the regret, because at this point in time, Om Krato Smara, if you don't think about Ishvara God in your lifetime, at this point in time, it becomes difficult. That's why we find people pressing, remember God, remember Om, remember Ishvara. But that person cannot do it because he's not being used to that. But then as we say, whatever been the doings of life goes as fast forward replay. That person knows that I'm leaving this earth, my next life would be better if I've done good, and if I've done bad, I'm going down the drains. This is where we say Ishwar is Rudra, he makes the wicked or the sinner cries. So it says Om Krato Smara, always remember God in life. Kritam Smara, remember our duties, our actions. If we've done wrong, we can't delete that, but we can still do good and make the good become so heavy on the scale that it suppresses the negative or the bad karma. It's never too late to do good in life. And then it says, Kritam klibe smara kritam smara. If we go on this, that is one way of telling us to always do self-introspection in life. Atma Nirikshan. So if we continue to do that, there's no way we'll be erring in life. Then he says, just give me a minute, I'll check the time. Okay, I think we'll be finishing the Eeshopanishad today. The next mantra says, Agne Naya Supatharaya Sman Vishwani Deva Vayuna Nivedwan Yuyodhyasmad Juhura Nameno Bhuishthante Namoktim Videma. Agni, Ishwar God as Agni, as energy, take it in all the forms, whether it's light energy, physical energy, or other forms of energy. But also Ishwar energizing us in terms of giver of knowledge as the light of knowledge. One knowledge which we all know is the Vedas, the revelation. But look at the universe itself in terms of how much we can learn physical sciences, social sciences, etc. And social sciences is also to be learned not only from human beings, but from other forms of life. And even the Vedas leads us to that. There's one mantra which is Ullu kayatum, Shishru kayatum, Swa kayatum, Grid kayatum. Don't live like the owl, which sees only in darkness and not in light, because our human form of life has been to make use of daylight. Don't live like the dog. Two dogs born of the same parent, if you give one food and don't give to the other, they start fighting. Then don't live like the fox, which always attacks from the back. Don't live like the vultures, always looking for the prey, always looking on the weak as prey. But then it says also things that we can learn from these same forms of life. The owl is sharp, has a sharp eyesight. Let's be vigilant. The dog is always committed to the one who trains it, who feeds it. That is dedication. The fox is very wise, cunning, but unfortunately can't use that knowledge. Let's use that knowledge for truthful things. Then Grit Kayatum, look at the height that it goes to see below the vultures. Can we move out of the box like this, go outside the problem in view of our problems, and then tackle the problems in a very fair and just manner? And that is also taken in management. And then we'll be on the supat, on the right path. Vishwani Deva Vayuna Nivedwan. Let's always be surrounded by learned and knowledgeable persons. And what does knowledgeable and learned persons do? They share their life experiences and their life knowledge. So we get that extra footing in life. That's why we say it should be like that. Generations to come should be 10 steps ahead of the previous generation in terms of material and spiritual growth. Then yuyo dhyasmad juhurana meno bhuishthante namoktim videma. By repeatedly sitting down with learned and elderly persons, that will remind us of the righteous path in life, and will do as we say. When a plane is going on autopilot, the pilot just do the corrections that may have need to be done caused by wind shear, the diversions from the original track caused by wind shear. that is drifting because of the wind. And this is what we need to do in life. By using the knowledge, using the life of experiences of others, we get that footing, we can do the corrections, slight corrections which we need to do, the slight adjustment which we need to do in life. Then the last mantra says, Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham. It ends with Om Kham Brahma. That is also a very beautiful way of ending. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham yosavaditye purusha sosavaham Om Kham Brahma. Reminding us, Hiranmayena, Jyoti Swarup, the all luminous Ishwar God, luminous in terms of Ishwar God not being present at the physical light, but creating the sun, the luminous bodies, the moon, the stars, etc., providing us with light in one way, and which we have used, converting that form of energy of light to make use in our life. Then also the light of knowledge. Look, by just creating the sun and lightening our environment, we get the opportunity to learn from our surroundings. Then over and above that, the knowledge given to us as the Vedas, unfolded by the rishis, etc. Then Patrena, Ishwar protects those who become the proper recipient of his grace. So it shows us the path. Let's become the proper recipient of that grace, not stand like a strainer or a colander, but as a proper recipient to receive that grace. Satyasya. And that path to receive that grace is to be truthful in thoughts, in words, and in our actions. Apihitam, mukham. Ishwar is always like the shield protecting us. But avidya, false knowledge, or just sticking to one side of life is avidya, sticking either only to the material side or only to the spiritual side. That is also apihitam, that is also a cloud around us. We have to remove that. We have to take both at the same time. Now the question arises, for the person who is dedicated to spirituality, like take the example, the Purohit or the sannyasi, who does only that for a living. He's disseminating knowledge. That is his duty and responsibility. And disseminating knowledge, acting as mentors for people to live life righteously, that is the taking care of the material aspect of life. And when he's doing that, he's earning a living out of that by disseminating the righteous knowledge, the right knowledge and righteous behavior that suffice for him to care for both his material needs and spiritual needs. And for the person who is working, say, 12 hours a day, if it sits down daily, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, before meal, just be thankful to God for life and pledge to be righteous in whatever we do. 10 minutes of just sitting silently, analyzing our life, do some mantra chanting, that gives us the inspiration to grow. So that's one way of taking care of both aspects of life for whatever job, whatever things we may be doing in life. So for those who have more time to spirituality, that's fine. For those who have less time, but make efficient and effective use of that. Then it says, Ya yo savaditye purusha. जो वह प्राण व सूर्य मंडल में पूर्ण परमात्मा है. Just like our life sustains this whole body, the soul in the Upanishad, it says it 1/10 of the needle. No, it's 1/10,000 of the size of the needle point, maintaining this whole body. And just imagine for Ishwar God to maintain this whole universe. That's why it needs to be omnipresent, omniscient. And knowing that, knowing the soul within the body, knowing Ishwar God in this whole universe, what does that lead us to? So savaham, then it says, with that knowledge, we'll know one, the soul driving this body, Ishwar as large as to where our thoughts can go. Remember Om Khambram, Om Sarvarakshak, all protecting Ishwar God, protect us. Kham Brahma, Ishwar is the supreme being, non-equal, non-superior or inferior to Ishwar God. And that's why we have the word which Dr. Chandora also often refers to, realize the divinity. Divinity includes more than the word Ishwar God. It's one way of expressing the divine qualities within us. Unfold these, and then we'll sprout that divinity within us. We'll realize what we pray for, Devasya, Divya Guno Wale, hum bhi Divya Guno Wale banenge. We'll also become virtuous by chanting the virtuous qualities, whether it's be the virtuous qualities of somebody around us, or some great person in history, or some great inspiring figures which is there, like Sri Ram, like Sri Krishna. And let's be really human in our life. This is the basic knowledge of the Eeshopanishad, teaching us to be one, humane in whatever we do, and be divine in terms of our personality. So any questions, please? I think we can have 2-3 minutes question and then we can end. Otherwise, you can send me your queries on the Facebook Messenger of Hindu Center of Atlanta, otherwise through email, hinducenterofatlanta@gmail.com. I'll be pleased to respond to those.
Thank you, Acharyaji. You explained it very well that life should be very balanced. It should not be only spiritual life or not only the materialistic life. We should have the balance always. This is the today's lesson. We can get it from today's sermon. So we'll proceed uh, for the meditation and we'll end this session.
So let's sit down straight, close the eye gently. Keep the body totally relaxed. We'll use one short mantra. Om Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Om, Ishwar God, as the all-protecting, all-knowledgeable, always inspiring us to be divine. Satyam, Satta, so it's all existent, and we can feel the existence of God within us by listening to the divine guide, the inner voice. And Satya as truth. If we go on that divine guidance, we can still be on the righteous path and not diverge from that. Dhyanam, knowledge, right knowledge. Anantam Brahma, feel Ishwar God within us, all around us in this universe. Om Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Om Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Om Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Do the silent chanting and feel your own pronunciation and feel the divine inspiration, the movement of the energy across your whole body. Silent chanting. Otherwise, if you can't keep the focus, just do the lip movement chanting Upanshu. I'll still be guiding you. Om Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Om Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Om Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Total silent chanting now. Join the palms together, rub them gently, cover the eyes, and slowly, gradually open the eyes below the palms, transferring the energy to the facial muscles. So that's the end of the Eeshopanishad. We'll see, probably we can do the Shweta Upanishad, which is, I think, the shortest of them. We'll start with that next Sunday. Otherwise, if you have any subject of preference, just drop me a message either on WhatsApp or on Facebook or on email. That would be fine. We can take that as and when, if anybody desires to listen about any specific subject on the Vedic Hindu Dharma, spiritual matters, we can take that as and when it comes. But we'll still keep probably that slot of 45 minutes. If there's any particular subject, we can take that for 15 minutes within there and keep to the core 30 minutes on one particular subject. Thank you for attention and wish you all a good night and a nice week ahead.